Believe it or not, it was in 1947 that Nissan produced its first electric car, the Tama. That's 70 years ago. You've probably guessed by now that it didn't quite take off, and it wasn't until 2010 when Nissan introduced the Leaf. Since then, they've sold 300,000 of those. That is a lot of electric cars. Nissan is now doing something that no other car maker has done. This is a second generation mass-produced electric car. It's the second generation Leaf. We're here in Nissan's global headquarters to take it for a drive around Yokohama and test out Nissan's claims about extended range and that it's fun to drive. Obviously, calling the Tama Nissan's first electric car is slightly stretching things somewhat, but hey, it makes for a good story. Nissan executives openly admit that the company was ridiculed when in 2010 the first generation Leaf was announced. It was odd looking, didn't have much of a range, but mostly those other companies thought Nissan, and by extension Renault, was on a hiding to nothing. 300,000 units later, a diesel scandal or two, and the ever-present threat of climate change, and it's all changing. The first Leaf may not have been the car of the moment, but the new one is years ahead of everyone else, apart from Tesla. This new Leaf is a better looking machine than the one that went before. It's less doughy, less porpoisey, more accessible looking, with a more prosaic interior to match. The car makes immediate sense to anyone looking at it and is less likely to scare off more conservative buyers. Right, I'm going to start this off on a sour note. I don't like the driving position. The biggest problem is you sit a bit high and there's no telescopic, the reach, there's no reach adjustment, and that's a real pain. Having said that, this is your classic EV. It's such an easy car to drive. This is not going to be a car that people are going to write things about or say things about. Oh, it's difficult to do this, difficult to do that. The only thing you really have to get used to, apart from the very light steering, and this is really a city car, is the e-pedal. So the e-pedal works like BMW's one pedal operation, where when you lift off it uses engine braking, but this adds actual braking. It actually applies pressure to the brakes when you release the pedal. It's quite smooth, but it does take a little bit of getting used to. But what it does mean is that you can do most of your city driving on one pedal, and that's a good electric car thing, and I've always been a fan of that. It's a really nice, it moves the driving game on, is what it does. So what's it like? Well, it's like any other electric car. It's quiet, it's easy, it's good. It's like any other electric car that I've driven, but it's a Tesla or an i3. They're both good in their own way. This hasn't got all the sound and light and fury of a Tesla. It's certainly not that fast. It probably cracks the 100 in just under 10 seconds, but again, it's not that type of car, is it? The ride's very even and laid back. It's a pretty laid back kind of car. It's also quite good on the freeway. And you've got this ProPilot thing on the freeway where when you're driving along, it'll give you some basic autonomy. So you can get in your lane, hit the button, and it will look after the driving. You do have to keep your hands close to the wheel. I'll tell you what is cool though. It's this rear vision mirror. You can't see it obviously, but it's actually a camera looking out the back of the car. Now, I'm here to tell you, it's quite a thing. Like, it's really good. You can see a very wide view out the back of the car, which of course is extremely useful. If you've got tall bodies in the back where you can't see a thing, that fixes it. So it's basically a reversing camera up here in the rear vision mirror. So yeah, there's some funky stuff, but of course it's got the stuff that we're now expecting cars. It's got CarPlay, Android Auto, it's got a sat-nav. The screen is really good, the graphics are crystal clear. It's a much nicer thing to be in than the original Leaf. So yeah, it's been a quick drive. It hasn't been exhaustive by any feature. We haven't got any mountain roads or any dirt roads or anything like that. But yeah, we've had a quick run on city and suburban roads, and it does what it says on the tin. The other thing it does is park itself.
And that's very useful in town. The only problem with this thing, it's called Parking Pilot, is it's really slow. Like road rage inducing of other people slow. So they're going to have to do, I think Nissan's going to do something about that. Look, the 400k range, not going to happen. But given what we've done today, I would say there is a reasonable, more than reasonable chance you'll do between 250 and 300k's on a charge, which is pretty good. That's well over double what the old Leaf could do.
It may not be the hoot Nissan wanted us to think it was, but the Leaf has that "oh yeah" feel of pretty much any electric car with a bit of grunt. When the foot goes down, the Leaf moves and does so smartly and quietly. It won't be in Australia for almost a year, but by then our hunger for electric cars will have grown. The car world is catching up, but Nissan is already a second-generation electric car maker, and it feels like it too.